Before I show you a 268 version 5 replay, let us take a look at the armor profile of this tank quickly. Now imagine you're in a IS-7 or a 277 and facing this tank with 265 penetration. You can basically shoot the top plate and lower plate of this tank, and also the top of the turret and the cupola. It has a huge telescope on top, very easy to hit. Even when it's side scraping, very easy for you to hit the shoulder of the 268 version 5, very easy to penetrate even with standard ammunition and the top of the turret. And if he side scrapes a little bit more, you can even shoot right through the tracks. Let's go straight to the replay. Alright, we are in Serene Coast, spawn on the north, and right off the bat, I'll be straight up front with you. This was not something that I was looking forward to. This was not a tank on my radar, and the reason is because the stats seemed to be a little bit lackluster, and I didn't think that it would, you know, really live up to its reputation as a very good tank. But here's the surprise, man, I was quite wrong. This tank, let's have a look at its stats and its mobility. Not exactly a quick tank, but you can see that it is keeping up with the IS-7 no problem. Apart from its soft stats, it does have a pretty good power to weight ratio for a tank destroyer. It basically works like an IS-7, like a 277. I don't feel much difference in terms of mobility and agility. The rotation speed of the tank, not that great, 20.86. Rotation of the turret as well, 18.77. This is what makes it feel like a tank destroyer that is very cumbersome, and you know, it just doesn't feel like a proper fast mobile tank. But in terms of going forwards and backwards, it does feel a lot like an IS-7, so that's the good thing about it there. Now this tank has been nerfed slightly just before the release. The reload time from 17.64 nerfed another second to 18.79. the aim time as well, 2.59 seconds. It has been nerfed to 2.88 seconds just before the release. The dispersion of this tank, 0.35 accuracy with a moving dispersion of 0.22. The accuracy is not that bad, but if you're going to shoot on the move, it's going to be pretty bad. Doesn't work like a 277, which has a lot better accuracy. But what this tank lacks in gun performance, it makes up in alpha damage. 750 damage on this tank with a potential of 1100 damage if you are firing and penetrating with your HE, which does 90 millimeters of penetration, by the way. So 750 alpha makes this tank pretty interesting, and makes this tank, you know, it opens my eye a little bit, makes me feel like, you know, maybe this is something that I could actually play. To be honest with you, this tank does not play like a tank destroyer. If you are looking to have a traditional tank destroyer gameplay, sitting at the back, sniping from a distance, this is not a tank for you, because this tank works more like a heavy tank with no armor. That's how you need to treat this tank. Play it like a support heavy tank, because it has no armor at all. You know, sit on the shoulder of an IS-7 like what I'm doing right now, or a 277, let them bait the shots, and then you go in for the support kill. The 750 alpha can really finish off a lot of tanks. Now, I could sit here and wait for my reload, but instead I choose to go forward. I can take a hit if I wanted to right now, so I'm going to go ahead and finish off this IS-4. That 750 alpha is really making a lot of difference, but you can see that Sheridan firing from a distance, no problem penetrating us. That's because we got no armor at all. And the armor profile of this tank is just, you know, 120 hull armor frontally. The turret armor is slightly better, 230 on the turret frontally, but man, even with 230 armor on the turret, even though it's sloped, it is not going to block a lot of shells, especially from tier 10 enemies. So you are in a situation where you kind of like have to play like a heavy tank, but you don't have that heavy tank protection, but you do have extra 250 extra damage compared to the heavy tank alpha damage, which is 500 plus. So this is what you need to give up a little bit of your armor for that little bit more alpha damage, which, to be honest with you, it's quite fair. This tank actually feels quite balanced, and that 750 alpha damage makes this tank quite enticing to play. I'll be honest with you, I did not want to bid for this tank, but now that I've played it a little bit, I feel like, man, this tank kind of feels like it's kind of worth playing because of that 750 alpha. I feel like, I want to play it. Even though I'm bouncing off this Jagdpanzer E100, yes, it is difficult to penetrate the Jagdpanzer E100. You need to be aiming at the, maybe the superstructure, the front of the superstructure, or try to get the lower plate. But other than that, once in a while it's difficult to hit those kinds of difficult penetrating tanks. But most of the time you're going to be able to do it if you're firing premium shells, because you're getting that 395 heat penetration on this tank, and even the standard shells 303 penetration. You're going to penetrate most of tier 10 tanks or any of tier 8s or tier 9s, not a problem at all. Also, on a side note, this tank is a tank destroyer, which means you can get pretty good camo values on this tank. Stock camo values is 15.39. In my tank, I got it up to 34% camo values with full camo crew. So, be honest with you, this tank was not on my radar to begin with, but I changed my mind. I'm going to put a bid in for this tank because I think this tank is going to be pretty fun to play, and I think you should bid for this tank too. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you tomorrow on the next auction tank. Bye.